Hi everyone, my name is Donnie Lowy from Closeout Explosion. Hope you're doing well. The next time you're in New York, you're welcome to visit my warehouse. So today I'd like to discuss with you how to beat wholesale price increases. I know that's a challenge for retailers, whatever business they're in, whether in the food business, whether in the clothing business, whether in the electronics business. As the price of commodities goes up, manufacturers pass on the cost increases to the importers, who pass on the cost increases to the wholesalers, who pass it on to the retailers, who then have to pass it on to the end consumer. But here's the challenge. The end consumer can be very reluctant to pay more. And the end consumer will shop online, they'll go to outlets, they might even buy a used product. So they really will go out of their way to avoid having to pay any price increases. And then in addition, there can be retailers who stocked up and bought a lot of merchandise, or a wholesaler who stocked up and bought a lot of merchandise, and while the cost of merchandise is going up, they don't have to increase the cost of their products because they've already bought those products at a point when they got it at a lower wholesale cost. So I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a retailer in New York, and they buy 100 dresses every month for their customers. And there's another retailer that buys only once a year, they'll buy 1,000 dresses. However the math works out. But you have one retailer who buys dresses for, pretty much for the whole year, and then another retailer buys dresses every month. So the retailer who buys dresses every month, they're going to be more sensitive to the increase in the wholesale cost of an item. If the price of dresses goes up from $25 to $26, they're going to either have to pass on their cost to their customers, or they're just not going to pass it on, but now they'll make $1 less per dress. But the retailer who bought 1,000 dresses before, months and months ago, before the cost went up, then it doesn't matter for that retailer if the cost of the dresses goes up, because that retailer already stocked up on the dresses at a lower price. But now, what do you do? So first of all, what do you do if you're the retailer, right, that now is in a situation where you're buying dresses periodically and the price of the merchandise goes up? So one thing you could try to do is you could try to buy as much as you can and buy more than you really need, because this way you're going to be in the same situation as a retailer who stocked up on a lot of dresses, and they stocked up on enough dresses for the entire year. Now, I'm not telling you to go ahead and buy everything you need for the entire year, because you're going to be taking a chance. What if the style changes? What if the fashion demand changes? What if something else, an external factor takes place and you're not able to sell all of the merchandise that you have, or a new competitor opens up? So, you do on one hand, you want to try to buy as much as you can, because this way you're going to be protecting yourself against price increases, but you need to balance that out with the knowledge that you don't know what the future holds. So you don't want to be worried about an unknown, but at the same time you do want to protect yourself. So there's a balance, and try to find that balance. That's definitely one way to avoid having to pay a higher wholesale price for merchandise, because you already have the merchandise. Another way to do it is, as the merchandise, let's say you see, as the merchandise starts selling, and you see what merchandise is going to work for you. So don't wait too long to place your next order, but go back to your wholesaler and start negotiating and start buying more merchandise, instead of waiting until you sell out for your merchandise. Because if you wait too long, chances are the cost of the merchandise will increase. Now, what if the merchandise has already increased in price? Let's say there's a wholesaler, and now their cost has gone up by $1, so now they've marked up their price by $1.50. So there's room to negotiate, because they've marked up their price by an extra 50 cents over their cost increase. So you have room. It's very rare that anyone ever marks up their price by the increase in the cost. So you should know that there is room to negotiate. Now, another way to save money, even when the price of merchandise has gone up, is by looking for closeout merchandise. Closeout merchandise is merchandise that is being closed out by a wholesaler or by another retailer. So what you can do is, you can call a wholesaler, and you can call many wholesalers until you find someone who has closeout merchandise, and ask them, in addition to the regular merchandise which they sell, do they have any merchandise which they want to close out? Or do they have a different type of product which isn't part of the regular inventory? And that way you can buy wholesale merchandise at a lower wholesale price than the merchandise is being sold at the current market rate. So for example, let's say with the dresses, there's a wholesaler that sells dresses, and they bring up the price of their dresses because their cost has increased. So you can either negotiate for a lower price, knowing that chances are they've increased it more than the actual cost warranted for them to increase it, or you can ask them if they have any closeout dresses, meaning do they have any dresses from a previous season? Do they have any dresses where the style maybe isn't that popular, or a brand that's fallen out of fashion? Now you'd ask, why should you buy that merchandise? Because you might have customers that are willing to buy that merchandise. You might have a customer that is okay with that brand, or still likes that brand, or is okay with the fashion, or is okay with the style. They might be more concerned about the price over the brand. They might love a certain fashion that other people might not love. So you have to know your customer, and knowing your customer, approach the sources that you buy your merchandise from and ask them if they have any closeout merchandise. Another way to get really good deals on merchandise and to avoid price increases is by going to sales for stores that are going out of business. Let's say there's a store that's going out of business. So you go to that sale, whether it's an auction or it's a liquidation sale, and you buy the merchandise at a much lower price. You could get it for even below the wholesale price. So this way, not only are you not paying the higher wholesale cost, but you're getting the merchandise at below the original wholesale value of that merchandise. Why would someone sell it so cheap? Because if they're closing their store and they're not planning to open up another store, or they just want to get some money out of the business, or it's a landlord who is owed rent and he took possession of the store and the merchandise in the store, and now that landlord is happy to get any money for that merchandise because he just wants to clean out that store, try to recuperate some money for the rent that he wasn't paid, and now he just wants to rent out the store to the next person. Now you might ask, why should you buy merchandise from a store that went out of business, right? You probably are wondering if the merchandise is good or not. So look at the merchandise, because you want to realize that the merchandise might be great merchandise, might be fantastic merchandise, but the retailer just was not able to make enough money to pay their rent, to pay any employees that they had, and so on. So just because a store goes out of business doesn't mean that the merchandise isn't good. Now, another way to get merchandise at a lower wholesale price than the current rate is by going higher up in the chain. Meaning, if you've been buying from a distributor, try to find a wholesaler. If you're buying from a wholesaler, try to find the importer. If you're buying from an importer, try to get in touch with the manufacturer. This way, you can save some of that increase. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video. My website is closeoutexplosion.com. The next time you are in New York, you're welcome to visit my warehouse. I'd be very happy to do business with you. Thank you and have a great day.